Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am recording this in lovely Escazú, Costa Rica. And it is Sunday, the 14th of April in the year 2024. And this is the first podcast since the eclipse. The eclipses are now over. We're finished. And I hope you had a lovely eclipse. I heard all sorts of stories from everyone. As for us, we were here in the garden and we were standing there watching it, and it was partial. We could see a partial covering of the sun by the moon, and it was lovely. I mean, it was very cloudy here, so we were waiting to see, and then the sun would come out and we could see the moon over the sun. We all had eclipse glasses from last time, and then we'd have to wait again because the clouds would come back, and it was that kind of day. But we all had lunch together and stuff. It was very nice. However, as a recap from last week's story, at the very moment of the eclipse, I received a support message from Uber saying, finally, we're going to refund most of your money. We're going to refund most of your money. I guess they couldn't refund all of it, but they were going to refund most of it. And we are taking measures against this driver. And one of them was lack of access to the Uber app. So finally, in the eclipse, when the light returned, my story of being dismissed by the Chiron dark moment of the eclipse was completely finished when the light returned, and my story concluded itself by them actually realizing that this was a problem and it was dangerous and they needed to take real action to make sure no one else had the same problem, and I don't have the same problem again. So there you go. Finally there was some acknowledgement and responsibility for what happened, and thank God. So there you go. Right at the moment of the eclipse. So I have to say my eclipse was generally about a lot of that. It's Aries. Somewhere in your life, you're going to have to take Aries action, whether it's standing up for yourself, standing up and being courageous towards something, speaking your mind, speaking your voice. It's Aries action. And sometimes Aries is pushy, and we needed maybe to be a little pushy, which I was. I'm typically not a pushy person, and I don't like being pushed, and I don't like when people are pushy, but when it comes to something like this that's just wrong and dangerous and illegal, I felt the need to really push forward, obviously. So somewhere in our lives, we had to push forward and make sure that we were heard. And there were moments where we may have doubted that based on, the dark of the moon before the eclipse, before the light came back, and the Chiron part of the eclipse. So now we are on our way to what is the most important aspect and most powerful aspect of 2024. And that occurs next Saturday. I am speaking about the conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. And this is very important, very powerful. It happens Saturday, the 20th of April. The conjunction is exact at 10:27 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8:27 my time. And you can adjust accordingly to wherever you are in the world. And, if you're in Europe, it's really happening on Sunday, the 21st. But this is majorly important. Why is it important? First of all, they only do this once every 14 years. Okay, they got together in 2010 and I think maybe a little bit in 2011. At that point, they were at the very end of the zodiac and the beginning of the zodiac. So I think this was a conjunction that lasted throughout the year. I think they came together a number of times. Then they were retrograde. So they were in Pisces and then stepped into Aries, similar timing, conjunct in Aries, went back to Pisces. It was a few times of that, I think. And so they were connected at the very, very end of the zodiac, which is a significant moment in everyone's life and things that we probably remember very well. So Now, they're not doing that. They are together in the sign of Taurus, and they'll meet once in exactitude, and then that's it. Jupiter's going to move on because Jupiter has already done the retrograde last year into this year. And this is important because they are powerful in energies together. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of abundance. It's the planet of opening your eyes and seeing something clearly in ways maybe that you didn't see it before. It's about taking a risk. And Uranus is a risky planet too. So the two of them together are highly open, risky, big energies. And Uranus is always surprise, Uranus is always something unexpected. So there's breakthroughs here for anyone that wants to push themselves to a breakthrough or get yourself to a place of opening to a breakthrough or opening your mind on a whole new level. But they're in Taurus, so there's some sort of financial security, home-oriented, nature-oriented experience. The two of them together in Taurus are an interesting duo because, first of all, I've said before, Uranus is not at its best place in Taurus. It belongs in, Scorpio, where it's exalted, and its fall is in Taurus. Taurus doesn't like big energy like Uranus coming in and changing everything. So it's a complicated situation there, especially if you are a Taurus. The other thing is that when Jupiter joins this, it just makes Uranus's energy bigger. It just expands it and blows up the balloon even more. Jupiter's fine in Taurus. There's no problems, there's no detriment fall there for Jupiter. But Jupiter in Taurus can expand your notion of what security means to you, can expand your financial experience too. It can give you more money. It can expand your desire to be in nature. It can give you fortune, in a very material way. You recognize abundance. Like I wrote a whole piece about abundance on Friday on Instagram where I talked about the mango tree outside of my house. And then another mango just fell I'm saying that. Another mango just fell and hit the roof. The mango tree and the abundance of this mango tree this particular year. So it's the abundance of fruits. That's so much Taurus, so much nature, right? And we haven't even gotten to real rainy season here yet, but we've got so much abundance with this tree. It's beautiful. It's so wonderful. But Jupiter is going to expand all of that. Anything Taurus related, Earth matters. And it's not a surprise to me that Earth Day comes shortly after this. It's about the Earth. It's about practical matters, material goods, money, the roof over the head, the food on the table, all of those Taurus things. And Taurus likes, a nice piece of land, land and the experience of an abundant life, And Taurus can be very juicy, very nature-oriented. So we're getting that here without a metaphor. And you would think, Costa Rica is always vibrant with, fruit and trees and plants and green. And yeah, but, everything has a cycle. And so here we are in the cycle of the mango tree. And I have never seen it like this. And I've been here, 7 years, and I've never seen this tree like this. So yeah, they fall and we ignore them a lot of the times. But these are particularly wonderful. So Jupiter and Uranus. And when we experience this, I would say take advantage of where that is in your chart. Try to have a breakthrough. Do something that brings you some new energy, initiate something, launch something. Now we're past the eclipse corridor and we're still in Mercury retrograde, but Mercury's going to start slowing down by Saturday because it's going to go direct next week. Not this coming week, the week after, on the 25th. So we still have another 11 days. But this is such an incredible aspect that you can't waste it. So it also, this is also the time people go buy big things like new cars, new computers. And this beautiful aspect is showing us something, awakening us to something. Now, Uranus is the great awakener. And Taurus is, doing its thing. It's everyday life, Uranus comes in and says, we're going to wake up now and we're going to shake things up. Taurus doesn't like things shaken up. So that's the area of everybody's chart where you prefer things to just remain status quo or holding the same or stable, nice and stable and expected, okay? Where you expect things to remain pretty much cool. Uranus comes in and says, I don't think so. So Taurus is like, wait a minute, what do you mean you don't think so? But I've built this house. I've built my land. I've done, X amount of business. I've built something here. And for Uranus to come in and say, yeah, that's good. Now we have to expand and be bigger. We have to be bigger than this. You have to be greater and grander than this. So you built your business. Now your business has to go to the next level. You built your land. Maybe you need to build the property next door. You got to buy more land. Maybe you got to sell this land and go buy bigger land someplace else. This is the nature of Uranus. It's coming in to shake things up. And you don't know when Uranus comes. You expect the unexpected. And we know that how many times have I said, you write 1,000 things down, you forgot the one thing that Uranus is bringing you. Maybe it's no business. Maybe it's like, wait, I built this business and now there is no business. Jupiter comes in and says, wait, we've got some plans for you. So let's sit down at the board table and talk. We are in for something that's really great and grand and powerful, and something wants to change in all of our lives. Now, we do know that Pluto has been encouraging some big changes as well, as Pluto entered Aquarius and is staying there for most of the year. But this is an outstanding addition to that. If it was just Pluto going into Aquarius, I'd be like, okay. But this has, this is the ruler of Aquarius, right? This is the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, and it's saying, let's change it up in a major way. And so this is generally considered to be a very positive aspect, though some tribulations in the world have been enhanced lately, and they are certainly big situations that need to calm down. And so Jupiter and Uranus, I do think, are part of these bigger, uglier conflicts that are going on in the world. And that's the dark side of it, okay? Taurus is about land. Taurus is about property and territory. And so Uranus has been in Taurus for a number of years. It's winding down. It's not going to be there forever. It's going to probably be there for another couple of years and then start to go into Gemini. I think even maybe next year it may step into Gemini. But it's winding down its place in Taurus. And it's not finished. So there's definitely some property, territory, land-oriented things going on that create tensions in the world. And then, with Jupiter coming along, it just makes it bigger. So we can expect there's still some revolution in the air because that's Uranus. That's also Uranus, even though it's in Taurus and it's about land and property and stuff, there's the revolutionary qualities of Uranus, and we can't forget that. It is still a bit of a disruptive energy. Jupiter should be able to maybe find some ways through this, out of this, connected to something more optimistic and positive. But like I said, there's a light and there's a dark to everything. I always say that, light and dark. And so we see some of the darker things happening right now. This is also a very strong and fast aspect. This is something where something in our life can change very, very quickly. And we don't expect that. What's really been happening is it's cooking in the oven of the universe all this time, especially with Uranus and Taurus for a long time. And it's been cooking in the oven of the universe and it's ready to pop. And my mentor always says, we're all going to pop like popcorn. Sometimes the little kernel stays in the pan. You think it's never going to pop, and it eventually does. That's something about our lives that's also true. You've been working on something, preparing something, laying the groundwork, putting the seeds, planting the seeds in the earth, Taurus. And this is something very powerful that's coming in that can really make everything. The seeds are sprouting, the popcorn is popping, these things are coming in a way that may surprise us. But actually, if we go back and look at our history over these years, we've been waiting for things to change very quickly for a long time. It's great for creative breakthroughs. It's great for emotional breakthroughs. It's great for breakthroughs in your finances. It's great for things that are we're wishing to develop radical new beginnings, because Uranus is always about the radical, right? So it could also help us break free of something like obstacles and things that have been in our way for a long time. So there's lots of potential here. And, try to focus on your life and the good that can come out of this right now. Where is Taurus in your chart? Perhaps you know where Taurus is and where this is taking place, what area. Each house has its own theme and its own area. So this arrangement is happening in the Taurus area. Like I said, in a place that may have felt like it was dormant, or you're fine with it. You were like okay with the status quo, and now you're being told to up level. And up leveling is what we're all going to be doing right now. So this is a very powerful sweeping aspect. I highly doubt each of us is going to be the same 6 months from now. Well, that didn't do anything for me. Something's going to happen. The other thing that's pretty big this week is the sun is leaving Aries and going into Taurus. And that would be Friday, April 19th. The sun enters Taurus at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. my time. The sun is leaving Aries, where it spent its time with eclipses. And this is a new venture forward. We're going into Taurus now. We're leaving behind eclipse season, starting to leave behind it. But the sun is going to be in Taurus with Jupiter and Uranus, not in the same place. They're not in the same place. The sun will just have gone into Taurus very recently when that aspect occurs. By the way, that aspect is happening as we speak. I mean, it's not like, well, that wasn't supposed to happen until Saturday. No, it's been brewing and it's been close and it's happening. So, the sun in Taurus is now disposed of by Venus, and Jupiter and Uranus, anything in Taurus is disposed of by Venus, the ruler. So Venus is in Aries, and she is going to be conjunct Chiron the day of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. The exactitude is really Sunday, but it doesn't matter. She's close enough. And so that's Jupiter and Uranus, the same time Venus and Chiron. Venus rules over the sun, Jupiter and Uranus. And so, very interestingly, she is with the wounded healer. Now, there may be something that really aligns for you in that. Maybe you really recognize like where you've been hurt somehow in love relationships, or, Venus rules money. So where are the wounds around money? Now, this is very dynamic, because what can happen is you recognize, wow, so that's been the problem all along with my money, with my relationships, with my whatever, my Venus ruled thing that I'm thinking of, with how I feel I look or something. Jupiter and Uranus can come in and enlighten you to something that Venus and Chiron are saying about where you've been wounded in the money department, in the relationship department. This is a real opportunity next weekend for getting very clear on places where we've been wounded in those Venusian Taurus areas. And it's an excellent time to clear them. So if you are coming across something particular in these days, like maybe someone says something and you're triggered, or something you're doing your emotional homework, as you are unraveling some old wound around relationships, money, Venusian things, right? Having things, the things you desire, then Jupiter and Uranus are going to assist opening the door to that and hopefully healing it, getting enlightened in some way. So this is so important. So even though Jupiter and Uranus are together and they're doing their thing anyway, Venus, who's ruling all of that, is meeting with Chiron, which I find fascinating. And I do believe that a lot of this energy is going to help us heal some old stuff. So this is really good. I think there's lots of opportunity. Jupiter always brings opportunity. Uranus brings risk. There's an opportunity to take a risk. There's an opportunity to open to something new. This is an opportunity to create something bigger in your life and go to the next level. So don't waste this energy. Use it to take the next step. And if you are at a crossroads in something in your life and you're being offered to take the next step in something, obviously look at the risks involved, but take as much risk as you possibly can feel comfortable with. And if you feel comfortable with no risk, well, then don't take any risk. Maybe it's not something that you're meant to do right now. But this is a great opportunity to dive into something that's going to give you some real empowerment and clarity and take you to the next level. So don't be surprised. It doesn't mean that your whole world is going to completely change and you're going to be a billionaire as of Saturday afternoon. No, probably not. But it can. This is a marker point in time. This can be the beginning of a whole new stretch of time and opening in your life. That's very different than, say, 14 years ago. The last time Jupiter and Uranus met in Taurus was 1941. Okay, so this is something a person may not receive in a lifetime. It is unpredictable. There may be shocks out of the blue, whether personally, globally, professionally. And remember that Taurus rules what we value. Venus rules what we value also. So there's some very interesting dynamics happening at that weekend because there may be opportunities. As I said, there's lots of opportunities flying around right now, and we're all possibly going to be offered something. Or, we have to look at the opportunity from the place of our values and our integrity. If you have high integrity and you take an opportunity that is not in alignment with your integrity, then it's possible that this is going to create some problems, okay? The important thing is value high, value your integrity, value what's good for me, for you, for us, for humankind. That's where you want to go with this. Maintain your integrity. There could be lots of opportunities flying around. They're just not the right ones. What you want to do is, talk to the universe and say, hey, look, I want an upgrade. I want good things. I pray for good things. Send up energy that says, I want good things. Manifest good things. And this is a time to manifest good things. Now, as I said, the last time Jupiter and Uranus were together in Taurus was 1941. And what was going on in 1941? Well, we know what that was. That was World War II. And Hitler was a Taurus. And there were opportunities, obviously. And there were some dark opportunities and some things going on and deals going on and stuff going on that were absolutely not positive and not optimistic. So people had personal lives, and perhaps something increased or was good in their personal life. At the time of that conjunction, the U.S. was not involved in World War II just yet. It wasn't until Pearl Harbor. And people obviously were very worried. Obviously, things escalated. So there's the dark quality of it, right? And there is always light and dark, but the Jupiter-Uranus may have come at a time for some people that was helpful and positive and optimistic for their personal lives, or maybe their personal businesses or their family, that really helped them stay optimistic and while the world was in a dark time. And it was after the Great Depression, so this was really when people started to kind of come out of it a bit, I believe. Historically, there were other times when Jupiter and Uranus brought forth advances in technology, but that's Uranus, right? So I would say this is, something to pay a lot of attention to, something to help you move forward in your life, something to connect with maybe where the emotional, relationship, financial wounds have been in your life and how you can clear them at this time. In the meantime, Mercury and Chiron conjunct tomorrow, April 15th, Monday. And they have conjunct before, because that was before Mercury went retrograde. And now during the retrograde, they are making another conjunction. So they have a story to tell. And the interesting thing is that Mercury is going to be at the eclipse point the next couple days. So what other piece of the eclipse information do you need? Are you having? What is Mercury giving you as far as information? The Mercury Sun last week conjunction definitely brought some information to me. And, I think it was definitely related to the eclipse. It was some other person's experience of the eclipse, but it did affect me. So watch that Mercury. Watch what information you're getting this week in these next couple days, and see if it relates back to the eclipse. See if one of the stories, and there was probably many stories, one of the stories you experienced brings forth some new chapter, new information, new layer that you're experiencing from the eclipse. Now, the other aspect that we have going on at the same time Venus and Chiron are meeting is the Sun and Pluto are in a square. So this is the first time, the Sun is now in Taurus. As of Friday, it will be in Taurus, and it's going to make its first square to Pluto in Aquarius, because before, it was the Sun conjuncting Pluto, like the day that Pluto went into Aquarius and the Sun went into Aquarius. They went in together. So this is very important, this square of Sun and Pluto on Sunday the 21st, the next time we meet here on this podcast, 1:02 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to maybe bring back some memories and information, and how far have I come since January 21st information. How long has it been? It's been 3 months. Where have I been? What have I been doing? And so pay attention to that too. So this is a pretty big week coming up. And I do want to make note that the following week is when the eclipse period is fully kicked out, and that is Tuesday the 23rd. So we're going to get that next week, which we'll talk about next week on the podcast. That's a pretty significant situation there, because we've got the full moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio, because the Sun will be in Taurus, and that is the lunation that kicks out the whole eclipse season. Eclipse season will be officially over at that full moon. And if the eclipse has anything else to say, it will tell us then. And Mercury will go direct at the 25th, which is a couple days later. So that next week, we do have a whole lot of information happening. And so this next few days, towards the end of the week and those next days, are pretty big days. So let's pay attention. Let's stay optimistic. Let's stay empowered. And one of the other empowering aspects of this week is also on Friday the 19th, when the Sun goes into Taurus, and that is Jupiter and Mars. Mars is in Pisces still, and it's sextiling Jupiter, and then it's going to sextile Uranus because they're conjunct. So Mars is going to give some nice highlights to this Jupiter-Uranus, some powerful, subtle, because it's in Pisces, highlights. Very lovely. And so there's some energies that are not entirely conjunct Jupiter and Uranus, but supporting it. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy going on. Things may speed up. Things may get very, very fast. And so pay attention. And then Mercury and Venus are going to talk to each other in conjunction in Aries on Friday the 19th. And this is Mercury retrograde, stepping into this relationship with Venus conjunct. So there's more information. Very interesting. Mercury is going to conjunct Chiron tomorrow, and then go to that eclipse point, and then talk to Venus, and then Venus is going to go talk to Chiron. So there's a lot of dialogue and communication and information happening this week. Listen carefully. Turn up the volume on your earphones. Listen carefully. And with Mars being nice to Jupiter and Uranus, this is very, very interesting as well. So lots going on this week. A big, powerful week. Let's stay in touch this week. I'm on Instagram, The Golden Astrologer. You can have a session with me in astrology to find out where this whole Jupiter-Uranus thing is going on for you. And that would be the goldenastrologer.com book online. And you can join me for expansion mentoring, which is very much a Jupiter-Uranus kind of thing. where you can use the magic of Jupiter Uranus to create real change in your material world. So that I highly recommend. You can contact me about that, deb@debmcbride.com, info@thegoldenastrologer.com. And I want to say thank you to all the people who reached out to me after that whole episode with Uber last week. And people wrote to me and called me and stuff and said, hey, I heard your podcast and wow, that was something. And they sided with me. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you again to all those people that did. And I am here for you. So connect with me when you need to. If you need to talk about what's happening astrologically, what we can clear up and move through with expansion mentoring, and how I can help you calm, relax, shifting and changing your energy with my 5D Reiki or my new vision system. That's always a good way to shift things and clear stuff and manifest new things with new vision. Also, if you'd like more information about that, you can contact me at deb@debmcbride.com or info@thegoldenastrologer.com. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Make some new things happen. Embrace change, embrace risks, and stay optimistic and positive. Thank you all for listening. Gratitude to everyone.